Hello, everyone. Here we are, welcoming you all in for day 17 of 21 Days of Fear, where I am going live every day for 21 days, talking about all the ways that fear shows up in our lives. And today's topic is about addiction and the fear of feeling. Yeah. So not a lot of people will relate addictions to fear, right? Like, we don't commonly see them in the same sentences, right? Addictions and the fears that are showing up. So as someone who had struggled with addiction for a very long time, at least 18 years of addiction, which is over half of this body's life. And addiction shows up in a lot of ways. Addiction is not only the very obvious drug addiction, alcohol addiction. There's also addiction to food and sex and attachment and codependency and needing. Addiction to appearance and how we look and how we show up and how much we know and all the things. And when we look at addiction, we're looking at a deeper fear that is the fear of feeling. Of feeling all of our karma, of fearing all of our pain, of feeling all of our pain, right? Because when we use addiction, we use the things like food and alcohol and cannabis and drugs and sex and clothing and, experiences. All of that is used to mask something that is happening internally. Whether that something is loneliness or anxiety or stress or depression or feeling lost or feeling unclear. Whatever it is, there is something that addiction is covering, right? It's putting a blanket over it and pretending it's not there. Because when we start to release those addictions, we are brought into feeling all of it. So in addiction, we have the fear of feeling, the fear of our karma, the fear of being human, the fear of our emotions, right? And in feeling, right, our feelings can be very powerful sometimes. They can take over our being and they can create experiences that we wouldn't necessarily choose. And from that standpoint, we use addiction and substance or touch or intimacy or codependency or all the things to essentially mask these deeper inner feelings that we're afraid of feeling. So when we start to look at addiction, and if you are someone who is facing off with addiction in some area of your life, and the vast majority of people are, whether that addiction is very obvious or that addiction is something like needing a cup of coffee every single morning to start the day, or needing anything every single day is ultimately an addiction. So whether we have acknowledged the addiction or not, doesn't matter. And I laugh that, immediately upon saying needing coffee every single day is an addiction, like 5 people just left the video, because that right there speaks to that fear of feeling, that fear of acknowledging something deeper that's happening internally. If we're ever needing something every single day that is not natural to us, that is not within our body, right? Water, for instance, we need every day. We don't actually need food every day, though, to live. Those of us who have dry fasted and water fasted for extended periods of time know that, yeah, I don't actually need food every single day to have energy, to feel my best, to live and thrive in this world. So anything that is not made of our body internally, like water or where we get water from, it's not necessarily something that we need every single day. So we can look to the things that we think we need every single day and that we're relying on every single day to do something for us, whether that something is give us energy or give us a feeling of comfort or give us a feeling of satisfaction and pleasure, or to avoid feeling stressed, anxious, depressed, and burnt out. That is an addictive tendency. Addiction is whenever we are using something from our environment consistently to mask something that is happening internally that we are afraid of acknowledging and feeling. So we'll use this example as coffee because there's a lot of coffee addicts. I am a recovering caffeine addict. Now I can't have caffeine in my body, period. Because healing what I wasn't willing to feel all of the years when I relied on caffeine through the form of coffee to stimulate my body. I wasn't willing to feel, the deep imbalances of my adrenals, of my kidneys. I wasn't willing to face the deep toxicity of my body that was feeling lethargic. Right? So whenever there is addiction showing up, there is a fear of feeling something that's happening internally within ourselves. Whether that feeling is an emotion, is a thought pattern, or is a physiological happening like an imbalance or toxicity. You know, toxicity shows up as acid reflux, belly aches, migraines, chronic pain, all these things that it's like, okay, well, you know how often, and we know that this is a huge collective thing when it's all over the television. I would love for you to name 10 shows that don't ever have alcohol on them as something that people turn to when they're stressed or they've had a long day or they want to unwind or they want to XYZ. It'll likely be very challenging unless you're doing only children's shows, right? So if you choose 10 adult shows, you're going to have a hard time finding it because it is everywhere. Because we have some collective addictions. Alcohol is one of them, caffeine is the other, meat is another one. Now, I'm not saying we abstain from everything. What I'm saying here is really question why you need to have something every single day. And I get the ritual of having a warm beverage in the morning and going and sitting and journaling or going to work and this warming experience in the morning. I totally get that. I love that too. That was one of the biggest things that for me transitioning off coffee many years ago was about. That being said, you know, there's other warm beverages that we can enjoy and alternate. There's golden milk, there's holy basil tea, there's dandelion root teas that taste like coffee that have so many benefits for us. We can have, you know, some herbal broths in the morning. There are so many different things that we can use. So it's not actually just this warm beverage in the morning that we crave. There's something more that's happening, and that story of, oh, I just need this ritual of this warm beverage in the morning and it has to be coffee, that story is keeping you in that addictive pattern. So it's really just a question of, why do I need this every single day? And what happens when I stop using it? So what happens when I stop drinking the coffee, or I stop having the glass of wine or whiskey or beer every day after work? What happens when I put down the pipe and don't smoke the cannabis or the tobacco? What happens when I choose to be abstinent for several months or years at a time? What happens when I choose silence, to go into silent meditation for several days, right? Another addiction is our senses, the addiction to talking, to hearing ourselves talk, to listening, to taste, right? So the motivation for today, day 17 of 21 Days of Fear, is to look at what you're choosing every single day. And if you've never gone a day without talking in your entire life, maybe that's something to try. If you've never gone a day of no technology in the past, like 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, maybe even just a year, maybe it's time to see what happens when you go a day without something that you're using every single day. Because when we start using things every single day, we create habits with them. We create addictions to them. And those addictions are hiding things from us that are very important for us to know about if we are going to heal and thrive and live our best lives and become the best versions of ourselves. And if we truly want to know what's happening to the health of our body, the health of our mind, the health of our emotions, then going through fasting stages when you're going silent for 24 hours, or to a 10-day Vipassana retreat where you're silent for 10 days and you're not even allowed to make eye contact with another soul for 10 days, right? Or just not drinking coffee for 5 days if you've used coffee every single day for the last even year of your life or 6 months. It's very quick that we become addicted to caffeine. Very, very quick. It happens very fast. So, really just get clear with yourself. And this comes back in. If there's like a resistance to this, go back, and I'm not sure what day it was of these 16 days that came before. Go back and watch the day of fearing responsibility. Right? If there's some resistance to the message of today, the video talking about fearing taking responsibility for our lives, fearing showing up for our lives, is likely going to have a lot of really great insights for you to become clear as to why there is a resistance to looking at something that we use every single day, that we think we need every single day in order to XYZ. There's something that we are masking through what we're choosing to put inside of ourselves every single day. Whether that is an emotion or a feeling, physiological feeling, or we're masking something even deeper, like toxicity of the body. A lot of people mask the toxicity of their body with caffeine and with alcohol. And that is dangerous, right? If there's deep toxicity in the body where you are not getting proper sleep and rest and you're waking up tired and you need that caffeine to get you going, masking that toxicity that's creating that deep cellular exhaustion is dangerous for your long-term health, right? So I really implore you to, even if you're triggered by this message, I know I was addicted to cannabis for 18 years. I was addicted to alcohol for even longer, right? And am years sober now. And I will say that when I was in those addictive patterns and you put addiction in front of me, you best believe that the ego was like, no, that's not me. I'm not addicted. I don't need this. Then when the conversation of not doing it came up, it was like, oh, well, I can just stop tomorrow, or I can quit whenever I want, so I don't need to quit right now. All of the excuses to not just put it down. That reveals the addictive tendency. And there's something in there to heal. For me, there was so much depression that alcohol was masking. There was a lack of grace and a deep disdain for human form that cannabis was masking. So there are lessons within ourselves that what we're relying on in our external reality every single day to do something for us in some way, there's medicine in that for you to see yourself clearly and then to go back and take responsibility for who you're being and how you're showing up in your life. So that is all for today, day 17 of 21 Days of Fear. If this is the first video that you're watching of these 21 days, I highly encourage you to go watch the days that have come before. You can find them on Instagram TV, you can find them on my Facebook page, or you can find them on my YouTube page, which is at Rainbow Jones. So go check those out. If you find these messages inspiring or you know other people who would really resonate, I do love you for sharing them and tagging people and just supporting this 21 Days of Fear to reach more people. So I will see you tomorrow for day 18. We're coming to the end of these 21 days, so got some good ones coming up for you. Wherever you're at in the world, I hope you have an amazing day or a beautiful evening. Much love to you all. Bye.